What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Zombie World deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because zombies are one of my favorite decks to play. Because you can summon out all sorts of awesome zombie monsters to help you go in for game. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 2 copies of Doom King Ballardrot. Doom King Ballardrot is our main boss monster of this deck because this card is actually a walking negate. This card is ability during the standby phase. If there's a face-up card in the field spell zone and this card's in the grave, you can special summon this card in defense position to your side of the field. Also, once per chain, when a zombie monster effect is activated, except a copy of Ballardrot, you can actually pick one of these 2 effects to activate. Either negate that effect or banish one monster from the field or graveyard, but you cannot apply the same effect that turn. But this card is amazing in the deck because it helps you banish monsters from the field to the grave and use this card as a walking negate. We then play a single copy of Al Ghul Mazrah. Al Ghul Mazrah is really cool as a 1-of in the deck, as this card is easy to summon out to your side of the field with the effect that if a zombie monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you manage this card from your hand or grave instead, and if this card is banished from the hand or grave, you can actually special summon this card in defense, then you can reduce its level by 1, which is a pretty cool effect to instantly get this 2800 attack point monster on your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Jackabolin. Jackabolin is really cool as a 1-of in the deck because this card has the effect that you can discard a zombie monster, special summon this card in the hand, and during your opponent's main phase quick effect, you can target a zombie monster in either player's graveyard and then special summon that monster but banish when it leaves the field, then banish this face-up card until the end phase, which is a really cool effect to instantly bring back the exact zombie monster you want on your side of the field, especially since while Zombie World's on the field, every monster on the field in the graveyard is a zombie. We then play a single copy of Changshi. Changshi is amazing in the deck. Summon off your copy of your Glow Up Bloom, because this card is a great effect to instantly send a zombie from your deck to the graveyard, because it has the effect that during your main phase, you can send a zombie monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if this card is banished, you can actually banish a zombie monster in the grave and special summon this card, but place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. The reason I like this card in the deck so much, and why it's the best target to summon off your copy of Glow Up Bloom, is because if you have Zombie World on your side of the field, you can summon out this card, and once you do, you send your copy of Doom King to the graveyard, and then during the next turn, you'll just get to bring Doom King back to your side of the field off its own effect, getting you 2 monsters off your copy of your Glow Up Bloom. We then play a single copy of Banshee. Banshee is really good in the deck, but I only feel like you need a single copy, and this card is great in the build, but it's just a really good 1-of to send to the graveyard so you can get to your copy of Zombie World. We then play 3 copies of Unizombie. Unizombie is definitely a 3-of in the deck, one of the most powerful zombie cards ever created, as this card lets you target a face-up monster on the field, discard a card, and if you do, increase that target's level by 1, and also you can target a face-up monster on the field that you control, but it cannot attack. You cannot attack for the rest of the turn except with zombie monsters. Also send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you increase that monster's level by 1. This card is basically a walking foolish burial for your zombie monsters, getting the exact zombie you want into the graveyard off this card's effect. We then play a single copy of Gozuki. Gozuki is also a walking foolish burial, which is why we play this card in the deck as a 1-of to get the exact zombie we want from our deck to the grave. We then play 2 copies of Mizuki. Mizuki is basically a monster reborn for the deck, because you can manage this card in the graveyard to be able to bring back a zombie from your graveyard back to your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Mad Mauler. Mad Mauler is definitely a 1-of in the build, because this card is treated as Plague Spreader Zombie while in the field or in the graveyard, and if this card's in your graveyard, you can actually target a level 6 or higher monster you control, reduce its level by 2, and if you do, special summon this card. Also, the player who summoned it cannot special summon monsters except for zombie monsters while this card is face up in the monster zone, but it's a great 1-of in the deck to instantly bring out to your side of the field to help you go in for your synchro plays, and it's such a powerful tuner in this deck. We then play 2 copies of Glow Up Bloom. Glow Up Bloom is one of my favorite cards in the entire build because this card helps you summon out your copy of Changshi or any of your high level zombies, because this card has the effect that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card in the graveyard to add a level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to your hand, or if Zombie World's in the field spell zone, you can special summon it from your deck instead, which is an amazing effect to get the exact zombie you want on your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Imseti. Imseti is such a powerful engine for this deck to be able to use the Horus pack in the deck to be able to summon out the zombie vampire to your side of the field. This card is great because your Horus monsters all share a common effect that they can special summon themselves back to your side of the field. If you control King Sarcophagus, and your copy of Imseti can actually search King Sarcophagus from your deck to your hand by sending itself and another card from your hand to the graveyard, which will also help you get a zombie monster in the graveyard off this card's effect. Then you get to add your copy of King Sarcophagus and draw a card off this card's effect, which is such a powerful ability. We then play a single copy of Happy. Happy is really good as a 1-out because we can bring this card back from the graveyard to our side of the field because it is a Horus monster as long as we control King Sarcophagus. We also play a single copy of Blessings of Horus. Blessings is really good to be able to play in the deck. I really like playing 3 different names in the deck just in case we need to bring out an additional monster out to our side of the field for an XZ play or even a Link play. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is really good as a 3-out in the deck, basically just to stop your opponent from touching the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is really good as a 1 in the deck to help us get the exact zombie we need in the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is definitely a 1 in the deck to basically just stop your opponent from hand trapping you while you're going in for all of your plays. We then play 3 copies of Zombie World. Zombie World is one of the most important cards in the entire deck, and what the entire deck is based around. This card has the ability all monsters on the field and in the graveyard to become zombie monsters. Also, neither player can tribute summon monsters except for zombie monsters, which is such a powerful effect to make everything into a zombie. This card is such a powerful field spell and just amazing to play in the deck as a 3-of to turn everything into a zombie. We then play 3 copies of Forbidden Droplets. Forbidden Droplets is amazing in the deck to help you get your zombies into the graveyard and also half the attack points of your opponent's monsters, so you can basically go in for game and turn your opponent's field off. But this card is really good overall in the deck to basically just stop your opponent's monster effects and go in for game. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Poly is definitely a 3-of in the deck, especially with your copy of Zombie World in the deck, to basically turn everything into a zombie and go in for Nether Soul Dragon using your copy of Super Polymerization using any 2 monsters on the field, which is so cool to be able to do because it means everything's a Super Poly target. We then play 3 copies of King Sarcophagus. King Sarcophagus is really cool as a 3-of in the deck to basically just help you get your Horus monsters into the graveyard. And this card is a really cool effect that you can send from your hand to the graveyard a card and then send a Horus monster from your deck to the graveyard and use that effect up to 4 times per turn. Also, once at the start of the damage step, if your Horus monster battles an opponent's monster, you can send an opponent's monster to the graveyard, which is an amazing ability to help you deal with your opponent's monsters, especially with how easy it is to bring out your Horus monsters to your side of the field, so we can go in for the zombie vampire and mill a bunch of zombies to the graveyard, which is super cool. So that's it for these spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is really the only trap card you need in this deck to basically just stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. This card is an amazing hand trap overall and just a really good card to be able to play in the deck to just lock down your opponent and just set this card to your side of the field. One of the best places to actually place Infinite Impermanence is one in the Pendulum scale to basically just lock down just in case your opponent does decide to play Pendulums against you. You can actually lock down those cards and it's just an amazing card overall in this build. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with Flying Mary. Flying Mary is a really awesome card for this deck. This card has the ability that you can actually target one of your level 5 or higher zombie monsters that's banished during the graveyard, and then place this card in your spell and trap card zone as a face-up continuous spell card, and if you do, special summon that monster. Also, when this card is a continuous spell, you can actually target a level 5 or higher zombie monster that you control and destroy a monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal than that monster that you targeted, which is a great effect to be able to use. And I love this card in the deck to basically just be able to pop a monster on the field that has 2800 or less attack with your copy of your Doom King Baller drop. But this card is such a cool card. We play a single copy of Underworld Goddess. Underworld Goddess just outs towers like boss monsters, which is why we play this card in the deck as a 1-up. We play a single copy of Vampire Sucker, just in case you need to suck, but this card is great in the deck because it's a really cool card to be able to summon out to your side of the field, as this card helps you draw cards and bring out a card to your side of the field. It has a great ability to basically let you target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your opponent's field in defense position, but it becomes a zombie monster, and if a zombie monster is special summoned from either player's grave, you get to draw a card. We then play a single copy of SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight is really good as a 1 of the build to help you use this card as a double interruption, as it basically banish cards off the field, but if you don't have this card, you can change it out for like a Nightmare Phoenix or another super poly target that you need, but this card is really cool as a 1 of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Nether Soul Dragon. Nether Soul Dragon is the best super poly target in the entire deck when zombie world's on the field, as it requires any 2 zombie monsters to make this card. It can generate tokens, and it's a great boss monster to make in this deck. We then play a single copy of Mud Dragon. Mud Dragon is just a really good super poly target, along with our copy of Garua. These cards are just in case you don't have zombie world up, you make these cards instead, and then you can basically make your copy of Nether Soul Dragon if you do have your copy of zombie world on your side of the field. We play a single copy of the Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign. This card is great in the deck as a 1-up, especially to combine with your copy of your Doom King, because this card has the ability for each banished card, this card gains 100 attack and defense, and monsters that your opponent control lose 100 attack and defense, and if this card would be destroyed by card effect, you can actually banish a card from the graveyard instead. And if a card is banished, you can actually banish a card each from your opponent's field and graveyard, which is a great effect with your copy of Doom King being able to banish cards as well, to be able to use this card's effect. We play a single copy of Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord. Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord is great to help you bring back your zombie monsters to your side of the field during your opponent's turn. As during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target a zombie monster in your grave, accept another copy of this card, and then special summon it. And if this card's in the graveyard, you can banish a zombie monster, and then you get to special summon this card, which is a really cool effect to bring this card back to your side of the field. You can play a single copy of Skeletal Dragon Felgran. Felgran is great because this card is a walking negate, because if it's special summon, you can target a monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard and banish it. And if a monster is special summoned from either player's graveyard while this monster is on the field, you can actually target one of their face-up monster on the field and negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is a pretty cool ability. We play a single copy of Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon. This card just gets absolutely massive in this deck, and it's really cool because it gains 100 attack and defense for each zombie monster on the field and in the graveyards. So it's both players' graveyards as well, which is really cool. And when another zombie monster is destroyed by battle, you can special summon a zombie monster from either player's graveyard to your field, which is a really cool effect. I'm going to single copy of Immortal Dragon, because this card is just a great tuner synchro monster to be able to go in for your other synchro plays. I'm going to single copy of the Zombie Vampire. Zombie Vampire is great because when it's summoned out to your side of the field, it mills the top 4 cards of both players' decks, and then we get to pick a monster among those cards and special summon it back to our side of the field, which is a really cool effect. We'll play a single copy of Number 90. Number 90 is great in this build because this card is actually a monster to gate. And then finally play a single copy of Typhon. Typhon is great because if you go second, you can easily make this card, and it's a really powerful card, especially for being a walking skill drain for 3,000 or higher attack point monsters. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Zombie World deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's one of my favorite decks to play, especially now that we have Flying Mary, which is such a cool zombie link monster. So that's going to do this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.